Uday. How are you?
Hi, all good. Thank you.
Thank you, Uday. So, before we start into the conversation for today, that is just 5 questions, please. The series where we'll be asking you just 5 questions. I'd just like to give a brief about Uday before we get into the questions. Talking about Uday, Uday has been an active mentor, facilitator, and a collaborator in the Indian startup ecosystem for more than 10 years now. Is currently the Chief Executive Officer of the Atal Incubation Center, Rambo Malgi Prabodhini, with an objective to nurture, empower, and support startups and the new age entrepreneurs. He has traveled all over India, addressing more than 50,000 students on entrepreneurship, covering 300 plus academic institutions, which includes the IIMs, IITs, and NITs as well. Prior to the Atal Incubation Center, he has been a part of the Society of Innovation and Entrepreneurship Incubator at IIT Bombay, handling outreach, partnership, and special projects, including the National Entrepreneurship Award Scheme instituted by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. He is also an active advisory committee member of the Startup India Hackathon. It's a great pleasure and honor to have Uday Wankawala with us today.
Thank you.
So, as the title says for the event, the session that we have today, just 5 questions, please. So, just to give you a brief, we'll be having 5 questions for today where we'll discuss brainstorm on that. And the fifth question will be a rapid fire round, which will be upon your personal choices and your preferences, etc. So, let's keep this really interesting and let's engage a startup community as well through this process. So, going with the
Sure.
first question, how has technology in general empowered startups, Uday?
So one of the criteria that we have at our incubation center and with Atal Innovation Mission as well, that is Government of India Niti Aayog, where they have been great support at AIC Rambao Margi Prabodhini Foundation. One of the factors that we really look at it is the technology is the core element whenever we select startups, and that's where I believe the scalability, that's the most important part, that you can reach out to wider audience. Then you are not pretty much kind of looking at local solutions, and then again you can reach out to even global audience as well. The tech, in a way, that tech, I always say that can play a great role as an enabler. I believe that's also very important in this entire process, that the startups using tech, and right from, let me give an example, right? At our AIC RMP, rather, we call ourselves a startup. And because we started a couple of years back, and then it's been really an evolving, engaging process for us as well. And then what we have realized is that our incubation center as well, we really need to use certain tech tools. And that has been very important. I would say that any startup that would really look into the technology landscape will have to somewhere use the tech as an enabler, and also bring those particular tech element in their solutions. I believe most of the times a lot of startups don't really look at that particular aspect, wherein they say that, hey, they are looking into social impact or they are looking into social enterprises. They don't think that tech will play any role over there. But I see that rather we are starting this particular year very specific set of startups that we would love to support is tech for social good. I believe that technology plays a very crucial role around this, and I believe that the startups will really have to either look at tech as an enabler, either in their operations or either in their solutions. I think these are the two aspects that any startups will have to really look into it right from the beginning. And they always have to have a team member that can really kind of understand the robustness of the technology and how it can really scale it up to the next level. I think these are the important points for startups that they really need to consider. And technology, I think, is a great leveler and can play a wonderful role in this entire evolving process of startups.
Definitely, Uday. As you say, technology is definitely a great leveler. And given the post-COVID scenario, everyone has gone online, and the entire business is online. And people are having staycations where they have gone somewhere to some different random place, and just they have an internet for 2 Mbps, and they're working and running their entire business. Definitely, technology is a leveler. Moving on to the second question, apart from passion and drive to accomplish things, what are the key traits that an entrepreneur should possess?
Very interesting question, Akash. Because I think passion, persistence. I always say this that in my exposure or experience with startups, what I've seen is they come in with a lot of passion. They know exactly what they really want to solve around a problem. But I think three things that startups will have to really, or rather, you would have to really look at it. One is entrepreneurial mindset. I think that's the most important factor. When I say
Definitely.
this, what that really means is they'll have to wear different hats. They cannot be there as just an innovator or a problem solver, but they'll have to look at the business
Definitely.
side of it as well. And the second part that I believe that as a trait, if you are really looking at entrepreneur or a founder of any organization, the most important part is resource and people management. I think that's the most incredible part of any founder's journey, because you are as good as your team, and that is what you really need to look at it when you are a founder. That it's not about kind of looking at only your passion, persistence, or the business idea. I think it's all about how do you manage the resources and how do you manage your people that are working with you. And I believe there are a lot of great examples. We have seen that people have started, when you say startup, that you start from scratch, and then people start joining you and then having you in your journey together. So people management, entrepreneurial mindset, the business side of it, and the one trait that I would say is all about flexibility and adaptability. I think we have coined a term in the startup ecosystem as pivot, and we always talk about it. I believe
Yeah.
pivot is nothing but it's all about how do you adapt and be flexible, that what people really need it, and then accordingly you fix up the solution. So it's more about product market fit as well. So I think you have to be really alert. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. The last thing which I would say is jugadu. You have to be really jugadu, but in the
Sure.
right sense. In a way that there are two
Exactly.
approaches to the jugadu. Yeah, you have to be ethical in the business, and
Exactly.
yes, and you have to be very well disciplined as well, and determined that you need to have a long term vision. I think these are the main traits. Again, these are the fundamentals of starting a business, and that is what anyone should really look at it.
Sure, as you told, the flexibility and, even when you're doing for Jugaad to run your business, you need to be ethical on a lot of grounds. At the end of the day, unless stay customer centric, you're out of the league. So that's very important, as you told. And moving on to the third question, what are the key areas of validation based on which startups are funded and incubated?
So Akash, this is very important. I mean, it's not just about incubation or getting them funding sort of a thing. It's also about where they really stand within the ecosystem or as a startup. When what are the kind of factors that they really need to look in? So one of the things I believe that how strong is the team, how strong is the founder, and the credibility of the founder. That's one particular aspect. The second aspect is the scalability, how soon they can scale it up to the next level, and then how what all factors that they've really kind of looked into at the time of scalability. The third thing is also the risk appetite, and also the assumptions that are being there. I think these are the most important things, because I've seen that when you start off, 80% of your numbers, your Excel sheet and everything are all assumptions. But then you really need to validate and then make those 80% quickly into reality. And then if you can showcase that, and how would you really showcase that is through your on ground efforts, or we call this as grassroots level work, which I believe that a lot of startups are missing at this moment. They come up with numbers, but these are not validated numbers. These are through Google search, and these are through kind of just primary research or something that they would have gathered through reports. I think it's very important that they really need to have validation from the customers. And most important part, which we really call it as, is the how many paid customers that you have gotten even at the time of your pilot. I think if at all, if you can really answer those questions, these are the most important thing any incubator or any funder would look at it, is whether your assumptions are kind of based on just purely reports or research work or a primary research. If that's the case, you really need to go on ground and then get those reports and those numbers right, and give a sort of a sense of confidence to your funders and incubator that these are the real part of it, the numbers. The second is very important is your what we really call it as validation from your stakeholders. If at all, if you can put that and give confidence more around that. So one of the things that we really have done at our incubation center is we don't really look at PPTs or Excel sheets. What we really tell them is just share your experiences about your entrepreneurial journey and also about your validations that you have got from the customers or from on ground or on field. I think these are the things that anyone would really look at. And this is again a long term approach that we have taken up. I believe that if you are really looking at a purposeful venture, then these are the basic things that you really need to look at and uh, ensure that you work upon these parameters first. The other things will follow.
Now, moving on to the fourth question. What are your predictions for India in 2021 in terms of unicorns and disruptions?
Oh, I mean, we have really seen now the startups. So again, one of the most important thing that we have been neglecting few years back was around tier two, tier three towns. I think we would see a lot of good traction coming in from smaller towns in India as well. The second part, I believe that the kind of solutions that now we would see and the unicorns, I believe that now, few years back, we used to have the copy paste model of a lot of startups coming in and then wanting to be in a particular space of say logistics or something that they feel that a lot of people are getting funded. But now what I see is the ecosystem that is being developed through government of India, through different programs, Startup India, Stand Up India, with the government putting in a lot of faith and trust into the startups, and also the industry bodies, corporates coming together. I believe that we would be able to kind of engage more and more startups and then ensure that that sustainability is there. I think before moving on to that unicorn stage, what is important is those startups are sustained over a period of next 2 to 3 years, and then after that, the growth that we would see. I believe most of it would come in from product-based, kind of tech-based startups with
Definitely.
products. I
Startups.
think, sir, yeah, I think product is the key word here. And the second, I believe that the innovation, whenever we talk about it, I would say that would love to kind of, and that is what my experience has been with working with a lot of academic institution as well. I think we need to commercialize your IP and very specifically, I would say that the technology. I think that's where we would see a lot of traction and more unicorns being, and that has been a trend globally as well, that we would see a lot of them now joining the bandwagon from India, specific in the space of healthcare, agriculture.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
believe these are the sectors that are not just specific to India. I think these are global sectors. And with pandemic coming in, I believe healthcare, agriculture, education are going to play a key role, and unicorns from India, because now again, English, that's one of the language that's we have had a great exposure, and then our people are pretty good about it.
That's our
That
advantage.
can, that's our advantage, exactly. And with the young guys coming in, and there is a lot of I would say persistence and a lot of risk appetite now in the younger generation. I believe they are ready to take that toll and then work 18, 20 hours a day, and then that's what I think an unicorn would be made through the right business idea, the execution, and the third part is the resources. I believe now we have got everything. And again, we have seen now vaccines and COVID, the way we have handled it. I believe now we see a couple of unicorns coming in from that particular sort of sector and segment as well. And these are smaller startups that started like 3 or 4 years back, but now are almost giving tough fight to pharmaceutical industry and the giants like Pfizer's and all. So that is what I feel that these are the sectors that we will see a great growth and potential 2021 onwards.
Cool. That's really definitely we are able to relate to what you're trying to say, Uday. And let's move on to the next question, which is a rapid fire session where we have five simple questions where you can answer the very first thought that comes to you when you hear this question. So You can answer it within 2 to 5 seconds.
Sure.
So let's dive into the rapid fire round. Let's start with the first question, which is I know that you love traveling. So, three places that you wish to visit in 2021.
Okay, so I'm more of a kind of explorer when it comes to traveling in a way that's restricted to India. So I won't name any of the cities or countries sort of outside India. Three places I would love to. One for sure, Northeast. That's one. The second city I would say that's Varanasi. That's something I haven't really explored much. And the third city, which automatically comes to my mind at this particular moment, and that's one of the that has been there for ages. I would have loved to. That is in Himachal. There is a place called there is a specific place wherein you really kind of enjoy the nature. Parvati Valley. I think that's one of the kind
Yeah,
of, yes,
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I have got to see a few pictures of that place. That's
right.
amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
The next question is tell us one thing which you wish to change from your past.
Uh, I don't think so. Anything, because everything has been a great learning sort of a thing. And even if at all, if I've made those mistakes, I've learned from it. So I would not like to erase anything. Rather, I would like to kind of. I don't think so. Uh, uh, there's nothing. Let me
There's
be very
nothing.
honest. Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay. So the third one is one superpower that you wish to have.
One superpower I wish to have. I would love to, because then I think this is something I live in, which is around kind of startups and all that. I would love to kind of get into the shoes of Elon Musk, and then try and
Cool.
understand exactly, because now we are talking about emotional quotients and the way he thinks.
Definitely.
I think I would call him as a kind of a superpower at this moment, rather than having any fictitious character. And then I would
Definitely.
love that a lot of entrepreneurs should possess that kind of a skill sets as well, barring few, which I believe that, I mean, you have the pros and cons of everything, but I think the one that he has really taken up is lifestyle reading habits and a lot of things. I believe that that is what every entrepreneur, and I should have that superpower for sure.
Definitely. He has taken things to the next level. Uday.
Yes.
Definitely. The kind of transformation he has created is really amazing. So moving on to the fourth question. What is the best advice you have ever got?
So the best advice I got from a mentor, I think this was 6 years back, while I was working on a business plan, or rather suggesting, and to one of the startups, and we were sitting in that particular conference, and then my mentor was also there, and we were discussing the business plan together, and then the mentor said that whenever you are looking at a solution, don't look at it at the current need and maybe next 6 to 12 months. That's a very short duration. I think whenever you are working on a problem or coming out with solution, it needs to have at least 3 to 5 years of horizon in mind. I think that's the best advice that I've got, and that's what I recommend to a lot of startups as well, that it's not about exactly what is it that you are solving right now. It's all about kind of what is going to be for the period of next 3 to 5 years, the importance of that particular problem that you are solving, and how you will be able to, so that you can have that first mover advantage, as well as you understand from a broader landscape. I think that's one of the best advice that I've got.
Definitely. A long time vision is definitely important. At the end of the day, the problem solvers are meant to solve long time problems, and we should not, confine ourselves to some short term goals. Definitely. So the fifth question is, what is your anytime favorite snack or meal, that you have it and you feel better?
Uh, no, I love energy bars. I mean, that's
Right.
very important in a way that in between it's more of so, and the other part is more having dry fruits around, rather than, I mean, more, I'm more health conscious. I
Okay.
have to be, and that's the reason. I think these are the two things that I would love to grab it at any point of time, evening or any particular point of time.
Cool. Thanks, Uday. You have actually answered all the five questions in the rapid fire round, and I feel that you have been very genuine with almost all your answers.
Thank you.
And Uday, so this actually wraps up our five questions for the Just Five Question series that we had today. And overall, this session has been amazing, I should say. So much of knowledge transfer and so much of brainstorming and discussion on different varied aspects of startups and how what challenges they face, what is expectation of an incubation center, what is an expectation of an entrepreneur, how can we actually take things forward, and at the end of the day, what are some key traits an entrepreneur should carry. I'm sure that the session has given so much of ideas that people, aspiring students out there, or young entrepreneurs, or people who want to start their own venture can actually think about and reflect upon. So this has been an amazing interview session, Uday.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And I really like the rapid fire part of it as well. You've made it very much engaging, and those were very grilling questions. I don't know whether I could do justice to those particular questions, but I believe that I think whatever that came in, I mean, that's the purpose of rapid fire, right?
Yeah.
That's very interesting element that you have put in. And the five questions, very important. I believe that if at all, if we reach out to the right people, the ecosystem, and all the startups, they can learn from it. Nothing like it. That's the purpose, right? I think as a community, that's our responsibility to give back whatever that we have learned in little period that we are here, and would love to be a part of such sessions and such forums in future as well. Thanks for inviting me. Really a pleasure.
Definitely, Uday. Thank you. Thank you. It was a great time having you here, and the knowledge transfer was amazing here. Thanks a lot, Uday. So let me
My pleasure.
conclude the session.
Yes.